All right, welcome to another edition of Unstoppable REI. I'm here with the world-renowned John Adams. So I just learned that he can sing. You do everything. You lend money. You flip houses too, right? Yeah.
Every now and again, yes,
Okay,
sir.
but
Yes,
your main thing
sir.
is money, though, right? Your main thing is the lending side.
I do a lot of money. I do, buy and hold strategy is my what I tend to do the most.
Okay.
Write books, tap dance, whatever you got.
Whatever it needs, whatever it calls for. All right, I
Yeah,
love it. That's what I do.
yeah.
That's what I do. All right, so let's just start from the beginning. All right, let's just start from the beginning. Just give me your. I hate to say 30-second elevator pitch because it may need to be 3 hours. So just tell me how it started, who you are, what you do, and we're gonna throw in a song later. So I got you.
Oh, I love it. Well, I mean, how I got started, gosh,
Yeah.
man. I'm a rehab addict, so I
Okay.
love seeing an old house and having a plan come together. Most people would shop the sale rack. I hate to say it, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of us out there. But when it comes to real estate, one of the biggest purchases you'd ever make, it amazes me how many people are willing to pay full price when you could go to the scratch and dent store for real estate.
You
And
don't
that's
know. Yeah, I guess, huh?
and so, I mean, I like all of the mistakes that I've made in real estate,
Yeah.
not buying it right up front in any market, no matter what you think about where the market is going right now, buying it right is key.
Yeah, yeah. So, like they say, you make money when you buy, not when you sell, right? So, all right. So, tap dancing, singing, buying, lending money. So, where do we start, man? So, tell me. So, just hit some of those things. I mean, you got a book that you just did it just come out now? You just all right, there it is. Bam. All right. So, tell me about that.
Oh man, so that was a year in the making, but more than that, like it was everything from the financial collapse, owning a mortgage brokerage, um, filing bankruptcy, walking away from 11 properties after trying to do the right thing, getting part-time jobs, going through my
Wow.
401k, still lost everything.
Okay.
Um, Telling my story, telling a lot of my clients' stories of what they did when they started buying the first property. I bought my first property back in 2009. I've
Okay.
sold quite a few of them in the last couple of years.
Okay.
I'm down to 4 properties. I'm doing something very strategic right now. May write
Okay.
another book about it, but it's just about how to do that, right? And about how to go about being a strategic real estate investor. There's so many people that get into it,
Yeah.
they fail. Even right now, with the way values are going, you could be a total moron, get into it, and actually still make money. It's not going
Okay.
to be like that forever. I think everybody would kind of agree the market is shifting. So
Sure.
uh, you know, there's some great guys selling books and seminars for tens of thousands of dollars. My
Yeah.
book's 1995. So the school of hard knocks, everything that I've learned, everything that I know to protect the consumer from themselves
Yeah.
is built into the process that I try to teach my clients. I'm
I
just
love
trying to
that.
spread that message.
I love it. It's interesting because a lot of those, I don't know, $5,000, $10,000 books and courses are written by people that are in the business of selling courses. They're not actually doing the work. So here you got a book that's maybe $20, but this is a guy that actually did the work. So tell me a little bit about the bankruptcies, man, because I think we all have those stories. Kind of
Yeah.
the pain to pleasure. So tell me about the bankruptcy and how that came about.
Oh
Well, not
man,
the
like
bankruptcy itself, but you know what I'm saying, the story
yeah.
behind it. Yeah.
So I mean, very similar situation to what's going on right now. There was these exotic loan types. I
Mhm.
was in my early 20s.
Okay.
I'd gotten my first couple of properties. I had some of them that were debt servicing, and I owned them.
Sure.
And kind of like what's going on right now, a lot of people are betting on appreciation rather than dollars and cents with cash flow.
Sure.
So I wasn't really sitting down to do the numbers. As dumb as that sounds, people are doing that today.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I put myself in a hole. Times got hard. Renters couldn't pay. I didn't have money to maintain, make the payments.
Yeah.
Something had to give.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. And how many properties you said? That was about 11 properties,
I
maybe.
had 11 properties at the height of the thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I short sold. Tried to make it right with all of my, my lending partners. But
Yeah.
in the end, I did have to walk away from a few, and so I had to file bankruptcy,
Yeah.
and nobody would lend you money for like almost 3 years. I was
Yeah.
able to get FHA loan in 2 years. I bought a home. Um, kind of here. I'll show you real quick.
Yeah.
Right over here, still got the blueprints from it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's a 1934 house. It was across the street from the ocean. I bought it in 2012, so a little bit after I recovered just a little bit.
Okay.
I started buying properties again in 2009 with the cash I had.
Yeah.
I literally went to an REO agent in town.
Yeah.
I was like, Peggy, I got to buy another house. I just had my daughter. I was like, I gotta figure out how I'm gonna pay for college. It's getting really expensive. It's no joke. So I need to get back into it.
Yeah.
She had one house. She said, man, John, you can try to buy this one, but it's so cheap. We'll probably donate it to like a non-for-profit. And I was just like, I want that house. She's like, you don't even know where it is. It's like, I don't care. I gotta buy my first house.
Yeah.
And I did. I bought it for $4,700.
No way.
Yes, sir.
What?
Yes, sir. Back in 2009, I bought my first house, getting back.
Yeah. Get back in the game. Yeah.
$4,700. I had to pay cash because nobody loaned me anything.
Sure.
And then I had to work up another 12 grand to get it just habitable. And then I put a renter in there for $595. And would you believe that I had the same renter in there when I sold it in 2019?
That's crazy.
What's crazy is I bought 3 of them on the same street.
No way. So what did you sell that property? What did you sell it for when you sold it?
Each one of those I sold for about anywhere from $32,000 to $36,000.
Okay.
And I probably had about 15 grand in each one of them. But not to mention the rent I got over all that time.
Oh, totally. Yeah, that's where the money is, like you said. That's cool. So what do you wish you would have known when you started your career?
Gosh, man, there's so much.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody wants to go buy their first house, and like Robert Kiyosaki. I wish I would have read his book first, Rich Dad Poor Dad. And you're taught growing. There's so much you learn in school that's not what you need to know.
Would you say what percentage? What percentage would you say? Would you say like 80%?
All of it.
Yeah, all of it. Okay, I was trying to be nice. All right.
You need just read Rich Dad Poor Dad before you do anything. Find yourself a local mentor in a real estate group. Really get into it. The house that you're living in is not an investment. Most people kind of confuse that.
Right.
Unless you have a strategic plan to rent it out or house hack by renting part of it out or offset the cost by doing some kind of radical idea, like maybe it's commercial property too.
Sure.
I'm kind of working on that right now. We're actually in the house that I'm doing that with. So, and that's my big other thing. So hopefully I'm going to be writing another curtailment of the book, but
okay, nice. Okay. Well,
you got to really have a strategy about how you're going to live. If I had to do it all over again tomorrow, man.
Yeah.
Buy my first house.
Yeah.
I'd buy a multi-family home so I could live in one.
Say that. Yes. I was just going to say that that was that's probably the best advice that I got was to be able to do that, buy multifamily, even as your first house. And I'm telling all my kids to do that. So where does the lending come in to the scenario here?
Well, so it comes from my passion and my background and what I went through. So I got into the lending business, and even though I had my lending business, I had a real estate license. I never used it, but I went through all the education. Okay. But I still managed to go through bankruptcy and foreclosures and all that good stuff, knowing and having all those licenses.
Sure.
So at the other end of that, I'm just here to tell you, you can have all the licenses in the world, unless you've been an active real estate investor or have studied up on it or have a mentor, you probably don't know all that you need to know about it. And so from the School of Hard Knocks, I learned that. I was able to now, buy and acquire real estate and now be more proficient at it. Okay. So I don't know if that answers your question, though.
Well, yeah, sure.
That's where I came from.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It does answer my question. And at some point you do lend money, right? You do private loans. And
so you're talking about my passion then. Okay, I got you. So back in the crash, 2007, 2008, 2008, I had to close down my own mortgage brokerage. I had a business partner, Two Mullins, and I.
Okay.
We had a mortgage, company back when you could, pretty much fog a mirror and get a loan.
I remember that. I got some of those loans, man.
Well, I mean, that's back in the, season when I thought I knew stuff about mortgage lending, and I was just I was an order taker,
Okay, sure.
I really didn't have that whole facet of, financial planning inside of doing a mortgage and thinking about that. Just can you get it done or not, and what's your rate? That's not really being a consultant.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother program. at the end of the day, my passion was rehabbing properties. Even though I didn't know what I was doing correctly or how to do
Okay.
it, I still know how to do drywall. I know how to do all that. I don't do that anymore.
Sure.
But I combine that with the love of doing mortgage and helping guide people through that. So that's where I found renovation loans.
Okay.
And some people know about it, 203K. There's a home style, it's a conventional renovation loan. And then
Okay.
there's VA renovation loan, which I'm in Florida, more military bases here than any other state in America. So we got a lot of veterans. That's where I am now is a company called Loan Depot, but I've been
Okay.
here almost 9 years. The reason why I came here is we were the first one to have the product.
Hmm.
And, just like I can do with 203K and all these other loans, able to help veterans with that. So it's able to buy a home that otherwise the bank may not want to lend you money based on the condition of the house,
Yeah. Yeah.
and now we've got all these exotic things like hard money loans and DSCR loans. Not that they're bad, but
Yeah.
you could get in trouble with that if you're not aware of what you're doing and how the market's turning right now.
Okay.
But these products, the average consumer can get a deal on a home. They can buy a home and include all the rehab inside of their purchase.
Yeah.
And if you're buying a home, even if it's got like some offset maintenance and whatnot, your average consumer doesn't think about having to pay for a roof in 8 or 9 years.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. You know what's cool about that though is that I mean that's not a brand new loan. It's been around for a long time. I remember back in when I first started real estate back in 1990, it was more of I was working for a lot of nonprofits and in that arena they were buying old houses, fixing them up and stuff, and that's when I learned about the 203K. But you're bringing it back to people today, and it's because it's a great concept to buy the money to buy the house and to fix it up in the same loan. I mean, you
There's a
can't beat
season
that.
for it, right? There's
Yeah.
a season, and obviously, contractors have to be on board with that,
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
pricing has to be in zone. But we've had so many investors and cash in the market
Yeah.
that's starting to diffuse out a little bit. So we're right on the cusp of this being a very relevant topic again. When this will be most relevant is
Yeah.
when a lot of our secondary investors that have been doing these exotic loan types back off, and that is already starting to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be some interesting. It'll be very interesting to kind of see what's coming up here.
Mm-hmm.
But let me ask you this: what would you say is maybe your two questions are in my head at the same time. I want to know what your biggest failure has been, and what you learned from it. But I also want to know about the craziest loan that you put together, craziest deal.
Oh Jesus, man!
I
There's a
know.
couple of so as far as the worst deal. I mean, all of those houses that I bought that I had to wind up going in bankruptcy to. I mean, I didn't have the process step down of what project to do in the
Okay.
house first. Uncontrolled um, timing with vendors, getting people in and out of it.
Okay.
Uh, Unexpected costs.
Sure.
Not doing as much due diligence up front. I would say with
Gotcha.
any deal that I've ever really messed up on, including after 2009, I've still
Yeah.
bought deals
Sure.
where I've made mistakes, but not following the process steps. And some people say real estate is as easy as 1, 2, 3. It's not.
No.
I've got about a
I
17 point. Um, in my book, I outline about 17 different points that you really should have down pat before you
Okay.
buy your house. And people say that's too much. You got to act fast. You got to act when you can act.
Right. Right.
You need to know all the characters before you start acting.
Oh, totally. Otherwise, you get in trouble. You get burned. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
so the craziest story in real
Yeah.
estate, my gosh, there's so many different families that have helped. Especially up down here in North Florida, we do everything from $1 million houses to manufactured homes. So you can
Okay.
imagine.
Yeah.
But like even the very first loan I ever did, I can remember back in 2003, the very first loan.
Yeah.
This nice, sweet little couple, and they came in and they did their loan application in person, and we went through everything. And they left, and I thought everything was great. And I was like, man, I love this business. It's so easy. And then not an hour later, the husband comes back, and he's like, oh yeah, remember that thing with the mortgage questions at the end where you were asking if I owed any alimony or child support? I said no, but she doesn't know I have a kid.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Changes things a little bit.
And so, we love serving customers and the realtor folks. So I don't want to get it twisted, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
learned then and there that buyers are liars. And and so you always remove people's skeletons in their closet as you move throughout the loan process.
Right.
So it's very funny when you poke around in people's financial business, because we have to keep it quiet. We can't tell details of who and where and why. And
Oh, sure.
we're almost like a confidant and uh, a therapist to get
Yeah.
you to closing.
You know what? That's funny. You're actually right. Now I'm just curious. Are you under obligation to not share like that information that he gave you with his wife? Or I mean, what was the deal there?
I made the changes in the mortgage application.
Okay.
I assume she didn't read it at closing,
Gotcha.
because it did change.
Okay.
My obligation is not to be a spouse relocation, but
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
gosh,
That's crazy.
man,
That's that was a big one. That's a big one. I mean, that's kind of like the guy that's like the get. I don't know. Like it's. I don't know. I don't know that I could ever hide something like that. Not that I would even try, but that's just crazy. That's like the guy says, "Honey, that wasn't me. I don't care. I saw you right there. That wasn't me. It wasn't me."
Well,
But
I mean, I've got one of the stories that's in the book too.
Yeah.
This guy tried to get around doing a renovation loan, and
Okay.
so instead of doing it the right way, he had some issues pop up. So during the issues, there was a subsequent repair that would involve maybe doing some work over again. So he decided he was just going to go ahead and do all the work.
Okay.
Well, in the process of doing that, he tried to do a regular loan. He ripped out an entire kitchen without the seller's permission. He tried to do the floor repair and have the inspection done by the appraiser, and they're like, "Yeah, now you're missing a kitchen."
Wow. Oh
So
boy.
people will do some silly things, like shame on the seller for letting them do that. Shame on their agents for allowing them to do that. I was
Yeah.
not involved with the loan process or
Yeah.
that. That would definitely not be my recommendation. But renovation loan is going to have about a 0.5% higher rate or
Okay.
so, depending
Sure.
on the market. Just do things the right way, guys. I mean, don't lie on your mortgage application. Don't go to jail. Be honest with your lender.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
one thing I got, out there in the community. Your lender's trying to help you. They want to make their commission and get the closing. So there's no reason. Tell them what you're working with so they can help you the best.
Yeah, that's the whole idea. Get the information out front so that,
Yeah.
like you said, they can help because they're gonna get benefit. Everybody wins when when you close.
Everybody wins.
So what are some of the resources, man, that have helped you along the way? Maybe your, I don't know, top 2, 3 resources.
Well, we have Jacksonville Real Estate Investors. So I met a couple of guys in there that have helped me out.
Okay.
Met a couple of mentors that have helped me, especially with like the book writing process and
Okay.
course development. Marshall Gallup got me the ability to. He does a reverse training class for seniors and for real estate agents.
Okay.
And so he helped me write my first class to get
Nice.
this information out to agents.
Okay.
Billy Wagner, he wrote a book in the insurance business, and then Wally wrote several books and several businesses in the home inspection business. So
Okay.
all those guys were really local. They'd been through like the Carlton Sheets real estate program, similar to
Oh yeah.
some people that are 10xing it right now. Look at my airplane. Look at my Rolls Royce.
Of course.
If somebody has that crap in their video, please don't buy whatever they're selling you.
That's a huge red flag. My wife and I say that confidence is quiet and insecurity is loud. So it's kind of like, if the guys that's doing all the talking, chances are they haven't really done all that and they don't have the money. It's the guy that doesn't even want you to know what his net worth is. That's the guy that's making all the money. You know what I mean?
Look at what Jeff Bezos wears. Look at what Bill Gates wears.
Exactly.
You don't see them with the sick rollie with the diamond rollie on there. You just don't.
Yeah,
They
you don't. That's crazy. So tell me about mentors, man. You mentioned mentors. Have you had like coaches and stuff like that, or do you have who? I guess I should say, who are the people that have influenced you the most in your career?
Well, I think I named some of those already. Those guys have really been, close and helped me. As far as Robert Kiyosaki, always loved that.
Yeah.
I'm always in deeper pockets, but lately some of that stuff is watered down with stuff that's kind of like information, not really information.
Gotcha.
So I don't know if that's the best place to direct people. I would say start with Kiyosaki, start with this podcast, start with podcasts like this,
Yeah, sure.
where you're meeting real investors. When, 10 years ago when I was trying to get in it, I was, very akin to our Jacksonville real estate investors group.
Okay.
And showing up to those, all those people are usually willing to help you out.
Absolutely.
They're just like you.
Right.
They'll, hey, or, I know this sounds really, really odd, but sometimes investors don't have the bandwidth to take on another deal. You might find a really great deal just by being associated with other investors in your, your market. Sure. You're not always in an opposition. There's so much opportunity out there. Some people are focused on building it so big and so fast,
yeah,
rather than slow and steady. If you bought 10 properties in 10 years, you will be independently wealthy.
That's really interesting you mentioned that, because people are always focused on, I got 500 doors, I got 1,000 doors, and so 10. So tell me more about that. 10 properties in 10 years, you said?
Yeah, I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
So usually the rule of thumb for investors is 1% rent on rent for purchase, right? And so rent's going up.
Yeah.
You're able to buy your house no matter what the market's doing. If you find the right deal, you can buy a home in any market.
Sure.
So if you do that consistently, spread over a 10-year period, instead of trying to get 600 doors in 6 minutes, that's
a good title for a book right there. 600 doors in 6 minutes. I like it.
Like 7-minute abs, 6-minute abs.
There you go. There you go.
But that's the thing is, like, so many people are like, well, you got to do leverage hard and fast. Man, I can tell you from experience, it's a really great way to fall flat on your face. So I think controlled growth is something that you can look to find long-term wealth.
Sure.
Look at the Queen of England. They're the largest land-holding family on earth. They have more property than anyone. Do
you know how much they have, by any chance?
Too much. too much for any one given family to own.
Yeah.
But they're not selling anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not worried about market going up and down.
Of course. So, well, and I learned that lesson later on in life. I mean, early on, I was doing deals and you're making big checks, but you're just living check to check. You know what I mean? And the bigger checks, but it's not wealth and it's not residual. It's not passive, So that's good advice. So 10 properties in 10 years. I like that. So what am I missing? I mean, what if you were asking the questions here, if you were on my side asking you questions, I mean, what should I be asking you that I'm missing? What do you want to tell people that I'm not asking you about here?
So everybody wants to get those 600 doors, right?
Yeah, right.
Have you ever done an eviction? Have you ever tried to negotiate rent? Have you ever had to, rehab a property? Yeah. Have you got a plan for what happens when the roof fails, when the plumbing leaks, when the air conditioner goes out? Do you have money set aside for that? And there's a lot of selling in real estate, right?
Yeah, sure.
Agents are doing a good job of that. Some even mortgage professionals are trying to push that product.
Yeah.
It's not easy, and you got to want to do that, right? Everybody wants to go get a vacation rental and get the high income producing property.
Sure.
That is the opposite of a passive investment.
Okay.
Like, even real estate is not a passive investment because you got to put some time into it. But
absolutely,
if you're looking at short term, that's even worse because there's so much more wear and tear that goes into the property, and so much more you have to do with making sure you're actually getting all the blood out of the beets, so to speak, on that. So when people want to get into real estate investment, gosh, it would be so much easier if they did it on a smaller scale first. Like, man, look at this duplex. Let me buy this duplex. I'm going to live in this side. I'm going to rent out the other one. Let's see how that goes.
Okay.
Let me learn a little bit. Let me see. Let me live in that. And I even recommend you do that before you hire a property manager, because you know what? I hate to say it, even like Robert and some of my other mentors, they published where because they didn't handle that part of the business they didn't like, they found they were getting, taken advantage of by, the very people that are supposed to be helping them out. So you really have to know the business so that you know when you're getting taken advantage of.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Start small and know the business, get your hands dirty, understand what's going on. It's like my father was a CPA, but he didn't do his own taxes. So it's like he, you know, I mean, he knew how to do it because he learned how and knew how to do it. But then once you learn, then maybe you could start to scale. But I think a lot of times people want to scale first. Like you said, 600 doors in 6 minutes. I'm going to use that. I'll give you credit one time after that. I'll take credit after that. But they want the because it sounds sexy, right? And it's but they don't want the hard work, and that's the real deal. And that makes a lot of sense.
I saw
So
one ad yesterday. It
yeah,
was on TikTok. This guy was talking about, he was literally sitting on a beach talking about he's $25 million in debt, but I don't care because I'm making $10,000 an hour right now.
wow.
Bullshit.
Wow. Wow. You know, it's like people will never know how stupid you are if you don't until you start talking, right? So they start telling all it's like, what are you talking about? That's crazy. So let me ask this, Matt. Before I ask the last question, how can people reach you? How can they connect with you online?
Oh, that's a great question, man.
Yeah.
If you go to johnadamsteam.com,
Okay.
you can find every way in the world to get a hold of me right now.
Okay.
If you would, if you were kind enough, if you thought, hey man, I want to know what this crazy guy did to go
Yeah.
from bankruptcy in 2008 to a documented millionaire, not based
Wow.
off of just doing mortgages, but
Yeah. Yeah.
selling and buying homes for 1995. You can buy a book that has all that info in there. You can join
Yes.
our community online. And I'm telling you right now, the best thing about what we're doing with the book is 100% of my book profits are going to two veteran charities to prevent suicide. So
Nice.
Canines for
Nice.
Warriors and Far From Home right here in Amelia Island. Those are two charities that we're giving all of any of the profits that go from the sale of the book. Last week, we just started it. It's a #1 Amazon bestseller and it's tracked. So we
Nice.
would appreciate the review. If you're on Kindle, I think if you're a Kindle Pro user, it's free for download. So
Sure.
definitely do that. And I'm working on the audiobook, but gosh, my Southern accent, I have to speak really slow.
I like your accent, man. It's very cool.
So
It's
I'm
very
working on
cool. Yeah.
it.
So I love that. Okay, cool. So if they go to that to your website,
Oh,
they'll find the book. We're gonna say something else.
yeah, the book actual link is thehousehacking.book.com.
Perfect. All right, cool. So, last question. So here's the deal. So the name of this podcast is Unstoppable REI. The idea behind it is that if you Google the term real estate investor failure rate, you'll see that 95% of real estate investors fail. I mean, it's a big number, but that's just the real deal. And it's funny, people don't sometimes they don't believe me, think I'm just making that number up. If you Google it, you'll see it. But so here's my question. I mean, so because it's such a big failure rate, I wanted to talk to the top 5% of investors like yourself because I want to find out what are you doing to succeed in an industry with such a big failure rate. And so my two questions for you are this. Number one, how would you define the word unstoppable? And then what are you doing to make yourself unstoppable where failure is concerned in this industry?
You know, when you were a kid, you had that clown toy that had the heavy weight on the bottom of it with the air.
Yes,
You know,
they
and you
kept
punched
coming.
it, and
Yes,
it kept
coming
coming
back
back.
up. Yes.
You got to be like that in this business. You could get punched in your face all the time, knocked down, your teeth kicked in,
That's
and
right.
you got to be resilient. You got to come back. You got to strategize. But the number one thing you got to do is you got to be patient. I think the best real estate investors that I know are very patient. In that they just don't hop on board of a deal.
Yeah.
They analyze it, they look at the numbers, and they watch. They watch more than they buy. They look at more homes than they buy.
Okay.
Every deal is not a deal.
That's true.
So I think most people get into it and they're like, oh, I've got my pre-approval and I got the lender lined up and I've got my contractors. And I need to put my contractors on it or they'll find another project. And so you pull the trigger a little too early on something. And you're like, oh shit.
Yes.
You didn't do the home inspection. You didn't do the due diligence. You waived your appraisal. You did some other silly stuff.
Yes.
And you got in a bad deal. And I did that so many times and it just kept going.
I have too. Yes. Yes. So, all right. So you got to be like that clown. Got to keep going. Kind of keep bouncing up, even though you get teeth knocked in. So, and so, how are you applying that in your life and your business?
Humility. Like I always talk to other investors now, and my trusted group of advisors, the real estate agents and professionals I trust. I go to with deals now, and I'm like, hey, look, this is what I'm thinking. Give me your positives and negatives on it.
Okay.
Where is my exit strategy? like most people when buying a home,
Yeah.
even for themselves personally or for investment, they don't answer that one question. And
Okay.
if they were just to sit down introspectively and said, okay, how am I going to get out of this? What if the market tanks? Can I fire sell this and still get out clean?
Yeah.
Um, do I have the funds to weather a storm if there's a shift in the market? Can this debt service in any market? Can I at least make the payment and keep it going and keep a renter in there? And I
Sure.
think if you just ask yourself those questions, and a lot of people would just avoid so many problems that are imminently about to happen in the market.
You know what, you're right, and it's great. Those, by the way, those are some great questions, and I would say most people are not asking those questions until it's too late. You know, and that's why you can't be the smartest person in the room. That's kind of what it seems like I hear you saying. Surround yourself
Find a
with
different
smart people.
room.
Yeah, there you go. Talk
Find
to.
hey.
You have to be the smartest guy in the room, right? You got to find another room.
You're in the
Uh,
wrong room.
so here's the thing, man. I was looking forward to us connecting up, and I really appreciate your time. I've learned a lot. I'm gonna go to the site, get the book. I love that you're supporting, nonprofits with that. That's fantastic. And you, where are you in Florida? You said.
Yeah, I'm in Amelia Island, Florida, which is
Okay.
just a little bit south north of Jacksonville, Florida,
Okay.
which is primarily where we serve. But I'm licensed in like 20 states, so
Okay. Nice. So you
uh,
go everywhere. All right. The only reason I was asking about the Florida thing is that we just graduated our last of 4 children, and my wife and I are in Minnesota, but we're empty nesters and we're looking for someplace warmer to live. So I'm keeping a list of all
come on down,
the
man.
warm places. That's what I'm saying.
Come on down.
I'll
You
come
got
by
to
and say,
see Amelia
hey,
Island.
hey,
You've
John, I'm
got to see
here.
Amelia
I'm
Island.
here. So we have to do that. But I do want to hook up again, and so let's not make this the last time. All right. I'll try to keep deals coming. I know we tried to put that deal together today, but that
Yeah.
that's hey, what do you do? The person got one day to do a deal, and what do you do? So, but anyway, so
Rufus, I love what you're doing. Thank you for helping investors and people avoiding mistakes.
yeah,
Very much appreciate you having us coming on the show. Thank you, Rufus.
thank you, bet, man. So we'll talk to you real soon. Okay.
All right, buddy.
I take care. Bye.